welcome into today's 820 episode once again. This is the 820 show. 820 on the dial, number one in your heart. Let's continue. Let's call this part 2 of the introduction to the conversation with Dr. Paco. And on that topic, the boys of summer of 1981. So this is a recap from the previous episode. I mentioned to you just an introduction to this as a story worth telling about this man who's become a friend, brother, comrade, colleague, a little God walking together in this world on our respective and complementary purposes and messages. But I think not that we have the corner or the answer on how this works or how it worked and how it happened. But I'm choosing to share this conversation with you that I will have with him just shortly about how we see it individually and then collectively that we agree worth sharing with the world out there. Again, it's based on this construct and a common interest in resilience. Now, of course, as I've related to you over the past hundreds of episodes about my passion and interest about what resilience means to me, and I've had Paco on before, and we'll get more discreet into what it meant to us in 81 and what it means to us today, individually and then collectively. But also, I want to reflect on what started decades ago, 45 years ago, to be exact, about what it apparently meant to us back then, even before we recognize this thing called resilience today. As I said, this connection with Paco started at West Point back then, but there's probably more to that story that we don't see yet, and maybe it'll come up in our conversation today. And just today, as another prelude to discussion with Paco, quick, I hate saying the word quick, reintroducing where we started. We were total strangers before 1981. And then we became closer to each other as men, as brothers, in common backgrounds, common experiences, but definitely different and disparate experiences over this time. Yet here we are even closer. So no, those are pretty powerful statements to make about someone you met randomly in this world 45 years ago, and now is someone that, not that we need to connect or communicate on a daily basis, maybe talk, maybe every 2 weeks, every other week, sometimes maybe once a month, depending upon our schedules. But yet we still maintain that connection. And that's how I see it. But maybe it's only relevant to me. Maybe he will clarify that for himself. And that's okay too. I may be in left field or not even in the ballpark on this observation, on this rumination of friend and amity and connection. But there's still a message and a purpose in this observation as I see it and as I sense it. And I will touch on that inception in 1981, the summer. But maybe there is something else that was the common yet unknown to us before 1981. And that common unknown thing, power, force, entity, spirit that brought us together then and sustained our relationship to date. Or maybe it'll just remain a mystery forever. But let's see what Paco has to say about this when I get him on the line. Just keep in mind, we went from stranger to family. But the question still is, before I get Paco on the line, is how do we get there? How do we get here? What was the connection? What was the sustaining relationship that persisted throughout these 45 years? And again, a little more context on this connection in the summer of 1981 with two total strangers. Yet, let me give you a short overview. So from 1981 to 1984, we were roommates twice, 2 semesters only. From 1984 to 95, because we're now in the Army in 2 totally different parts of the world on different missions, we might have had maybe 5 times we made physical contact or saw each other between 1984 to 1995. Then from 1995 to 2023, we may have seen each other 10 to 20 times tops, either in remote contact, communication, or actually seeing each other. Maybe 20 times tops over those, 28 years? Okay. And then from 2023 to present, we're now geographically, physically 5 minutes away from each other in terms of driving. 5 minutes separate. How did that occur? How did that occur from when I said where we were as total strangers in 81 to now we're 5 minutes away from each other? And I'll need him to chime in on his view on that. And that's what we'll get a little more of the more levity and clarity from him. But that was the prelude sketch of this unknown at that point in time development of resilience and connection between Dr. Paco and I. And what's the connection, though? It's still the overriding question. What was the connection? Was it connection? Was it chemistry? To sustain this thing between 2 young adult men with very limited things in common when we met, that we then could then connect, pun intended, to the 4 phases of my resilience as I am now looking back on it and bringing it forward to make it more relevant to me as I continue to understand it and share it with the world out there. And then as another summary, to connect the phases of when Paco and I met and how we didn't have constant contact over those years, here's what, as a review for me, the context on my 4 phases of resilience development. What drove me to what drives me now. And maybe call these phases of my drive, as I've talked about in the book, Resilience, the Beauty of Presence. What drives you? That question is really what drives me. So, as I interpret the journey to date, I counted 4 phases. Phase 1, 1962 to 1980. That's birth to high school, independence, only child, discovery of quasi-direction, and baseball. Phase 2, 1980 to 1993. West Point, military, discipline, higher education. Phase 3, 1993 to 2022. Corporate life, analysis focus, engineering background, productivity, authorship, fatherhood, stroke, heart surgery, marriages, divorces. And phase 4, 2022 to present. Reflecting resilience awareness, refined purpose, message, respect of love, grace, constant gratitude, awareness of the beauty essence that drives me. So when we get Paco on the line here shortly, we'll maybe contrast or mix and match mine and his reflections or observations about this mystery of friend, these pillars of amity, the pillars within each of us before we even knew of their existence in our respective resilience. So stand by. Until then, stay present, stay current. Remember, wherever you are in this world, it is always 8:20.